This is Matador News. These are today's headlines. Niagara Falls turns to ice.
These terrorists are
Obama speaks out against anti-Islam prejudice. And the Chinese celebrate their New Year.
Hello and welcome to Matador News. I'm Stephanie Stanziano.
And I'm Alicia Zerai. President Obama confronts the West's generalizations of Islam and terrorism this morning in a speech at the State Department.
These terrorists are desperate for legitimacy. And all of us have a responsibility to refute the notion that groups like ISIL somehow represent Islam, because that is a falsehood that embraces the terrorist narrative.
Obama says he wants Muslim American groups to work with the American government to stop terrorism, but this will not happen if we continue to discriminate against immigrants.
Brother of late hostage Kayla Mueller says he is grateful for the support of his community. Prescott, Arizona residents gathered in the courthouse square to remember Kayla. Eric Mueller asked they do so by honoring her and following her example.
I love you. You can rest in peace knowing that you changed this world.
The candlelight memorial brought him to break his family's silence for the first time since her death. Kayla was killed in Syria on February 6 when bombs destroyed the building where ISIS was holding her.
Teachers in the final Los Angeles Unified School District are taking the first step towards a strike. This comes after 7 months and 18 rounds of negotiations. A declaration of impasse has been called so that a mediator will be brought in. Teachers have not had a pay raise since 2008. The union is asking for an immediate 8.5% raise and an additional 5,000 teachers for the district. The district's counteroffer is a 5% raise, an increased starting salary, and $26 million towards class size reductions. Both union leaders and district administrators are hoping this mediation will close the gap between parties.
The Russian-backed separatists raised their flag in Debaltseve as Ukrainian forces continue withdrawing from the town. Government troops began abandoning the Ukrainian town on Wednesday and are now more than 90% out. Over the course of 3 weeks, rebel fighters have been firing at military vehicles at night so troops could not sleep, and then attack wave after wave in the morning. Ceasefire was supposed to go in effect on Sunday, but a Ukrainian military spokesman says in the last day, rebels have repeatedly shelled a village on the outskirts of the strategic port city, Mariupol. The war in eastern Ukraine has killed 5,600 people and forced over 1 million to flee their homes since the fighting began last April.
Residents in Torrance have been told to keep their windows closed due to poor air quality after the Exxon refinery explosion yesterday. 4 people suffered minor injuries. The cause of the blast is unknown, but is not believed to be foul play. Another major concern is the possible gas price hike due to the part of the refinery being shut down for several months. The explosion was so strong, it was equivalent to a small earthquake and shook windows in nearby homes and businesses. It could take up to a year for the unit to be replaced.
It looks like the movie Frozen has retired to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is now frozen, just like the rest of the East Coast. The low temperatures have actually caused Niagara Falls to stop flowing. Temperatures have not been this low on the East Coast since last century. The cold streak is caused by what is known as the Siberian Express. A mass of cold air starting over Russia rolls north over the North Pole and heads south across Canada and into the U.S.
The attorneys for the accused Boston Marathon bomber are appealing to the overturned federal judge's ruling against moving the trial out of Boston. Lawyers say no jury in the city of Boston will be able to remain impartial. The U.S. Appeals Court judges did not say when they will give their ruling. And in Texas, the American Sniper trial continues. The defendant's family takes the stand to showcase his downward spiral and aid the defense case of an insanity appeal. Eddie Ray Roth admits to killing Chris Kyle and another Navy SEAL, but his family says he was suffering from severe PTSD.
And now to James Lindsay with health news.
Thank you, Stephanie. 2 patients at the UCLA Medical Center have died from a drug-resistant superbug known as CRE. CRE is a type of bacteria that has grown a resistance to many kinds of antibiotics. The CDC says the bacteria is known to lead to death in half of those infected. The FDA has warned hospitals and medical providers that a commonly used medical scope may have been the cause of the infection. Many doctors and hospitals question the design of these scopes. They say it is difficult to disinfect the endoscopes using the maker's instructions. The device makers say they are now working with the FDA to address these safety concerns. The number of measles cases in the U.S. has risen to 141 this year. Many of the cases have been traced to Disneyland in California and Illinois Daycare Center in Illinois. The CDC says most of the people who have gotten measles this year were not vaccinated. Measles causes fever, a runny nose, a cough, and rashes all over the body. Matador News reporter Bianca Gallegos is in the Sundial Studio with LA County Health Department's Frank Alvarez.
Thank you, James. So for today, we have Dr. Frank Alvarez from the Department of Public Health in Los Angeles, and he is here today to talk about important issues happening in public health. So, Dr. Frank, why is it that people are not getting vaccinated?
Well, most people are getting vaccinated, and if you look at our current outbreak of measles in the United States and here in California in particular, what we're seeing is pockets of communities, be them in maybe smaller preschools or schools, or in various just sectors throughout our county, where folks are getting under immunized. And it's unfortunately with measles, there's been this big misconception that measles vaccine is linked to some very serious adverse effects, in particular autism. So I think a big part of it you're seeing is folks just reluctant due to, unfortunately, some poorly done science. And the original studies that were conducted back in 1993 or so have been discredited. Actually, the one seminal work, the physician lost his license, and the journal that published that work, it was recanted. So there is not any evidence to point to any link between, in particular, measles vaccine and autism. But again, by and large, we're seeing about a 90% vaccination coverage rate for children who should have measles vaccine. They have it, but we still have work to do to close that gap, and hopefully through education and what we're seeing now with this outbreak and how serious measles can be with children, parents and medical providers move to cover the rest of the kids who should be getting the vaccine.
Okay, so now should CSUN students be concerned about this, the measles issue?
They shouldn't. Most students would have had the vaccine, so I would encourage any student that doesn't know whether they've had the vaccine to ask their parent or get documentation on whether they had the vaccine itself. But again, most, I would imagine 90+% of students on this campus have had the vaccine. But it's important to make sure indeed you've had the vaccine. So I would, again, just check with your parents. And if you don't know, go to your provider. You can always get another vaccine. There's no issue with that, just to ensure that you're vaccinated.
Okay. So now I have a couple questions in regards to the superbug at UCLA. Can you please explain to us and clarify what is the superbug?
Superbug is unfortunately, superbug is a broadly used term. You hear it a lot. It's almost like every year you hear something about some superbug. I think in general, superbug just means that you've got a bacteria that's highly resistant to antibiotic treatment. And so unfortunately, we see those with a lot of different sort of bacteria or infectious diseases. There's like tuberculosis, for example. We know there's superbugs, highly resistant forms of tuberculosis. In this case, it was like an enterobacterial type of bacteria that it was resistant. But again, unfortunately, we see so-called superbugs, from time to time because of the resistance, the high resistance to antibiotic therapy.
Okay. And should any future UCLA patients be concerned, or? No,
I think at this point it's very clear that UCLA is currently looking back at those patients that might have been exposed to this particular instrumentation that sounds like it was contaminated. Certainly at this point I would not be concerned about getting a procedure done at UCLA. I'm sure that all that has been rectified at this point, and it would be safe to get a procedure.
Is there anything else you'd like to add in regards to the superbug, the measles issue going on?
I think in general, I mean, you know, when I look at public health and the safety of our children in our community, it's really incumbent for all of us to recognize we all have a responsibility for the health and safety of our community. It's not just, you know, one physician or the public health department, but all of us as members of a society, for it to be safe and healthy, we should all, you know, move forward to, again, encourage ourselves to do the right thing. So if it's, you know, vaccinations, let's get those and prevent, you know, preventable diseases in our community.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming to the studio and clarifying this and in all your insight you provided for us. Now, so back to you in the studio.
Walmart's chief, Doug McMillan, says the company will increase wages to $9 an hour for 500,000 employees.
We'll raise our starting pay, and we'll provide opportunities for further raises based on performance. For our current associates, we'll start by raising our entry wage to at least $9 an hour in April.
Walmart said it would work to make schedules more flexible and to improve employee training. The company is following in Gap and IKEA's footsteps. Both increased their wages above federal minimum wage level. By February 2016, all current Walmart associates will be earning at least $10 an hour. Germany has rejected Greece's request for more time. Greece is asking for 6 months to repay its debt to Germany. This deficit has government officials cutting back on unnecessary spending. Experts say the Greek economy may face serious problems if a solution is not found. This can affect Europe and the rest of the world. And now let's go back to James Lindsay for the latest in sports.
Thank you very much. Many NBA teams are making their final trades today in preparation for the second half of the season. Aaron Aflalo and Alonzo G have been sent to the Portland Trail Blazers in a 5-player deal with the Denver Nuggets. Denver received Thomas Robinson, Victor Claver, and Will Barton in return. Kevin Garnett is also in trade talks today. The Nets are discussing a deal that would send him back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he spent his first 12 years of his career. In return, the Nets would receive 26-year-old starter Thaddeus Young. All NBA teams had until 3 p.m. Eastern Time today to make any final decisions. Former NBA player James Kersey died on Wednesday at age 52. TMZ says he died as a result of a blood clot that formed in his calf. Kersey played 17 seasons in the NBA. He helped bring the Portland Trail Blazers to 2 NBA Finals in 1990 and 92, and he also won a title with the San Antonio Spurs in 1999. The NBA star ranks 3rd in minutes played, 2nd in rebounds, 3rd in steals, and 5th in points for the Blazers franchise. And now let's go back to Joanna Guzman with the latest in entertainment.
The Spring Festival, also known as Chinese New Year, is the most important celebration for Chinese families. The Chinese New Year begins today and ends on March 5th. Many Chinese are calling this year the Year of the Sheep because sheep are more cute and cuddly, but many say it's technically the Year of the Goat, a popular farm animal among Han Chinese who started the zodiac tradition thousands of years ago. In many cities, there are dragon and lion dances. Small villages do more traditional celebrations, such as setting off firecrackers and ancestor worship. Happy 2015 to China. The 87th Academy Awards will be taking place this Sunday at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. Neil Patrick Harris will be the host for the 2015 Oscars. He hosted the 63rd Tony Awards in 2009, bumping the show's rating by 20% and earning Emmy Awards for the telecast and himself. Best Pictures nominees include American Sniper, Boyhood, Birdman, and many more. Bradley Cooper, Steve Carell, Emma Stone, and Keira Knightley are among the nominees. Tune in this Sunday, February 22nd at 4 Pacific Time on ABC for the red carpet and at 5:30 for the ceremony. Now back to Stephanie and Alicia.
I'm Stephanie Stanziano.
And I'm Alicia Zerai. Thank you for watching Matador News.